anybody have any questions about anything up to this point? Anything that you read or did or anything else?
I don't know who's in the meeting. I can't really tell at this point.
Oh, you can't. No, Margaret's here and so is Eileen.
Oh, okay.
And you and me.
I only see myself, so I don't know how to.
Okay.
Maybe there must. Oh, I see participants. I guess there's a way to. I'm not too up on the Zoom process.
Yeah, don't feel bad. You're one step ahead of me. Gallery. Go to gallery.
Oh,
Switch to gallery view. I see. Okay.
How's that work?
and
There we
also another tip I have is that if you just press chat and someone's talking, but you have a question that you don't want to forget, you can type it into chat on the right. So look on the bottom of the screen and you'll see chat. Click on chat and you'll see where you can type in a message. If someone's talking and you don't want to forget, you know,
Yeah.
question and you're afraid you're going to forget it, type it in there.
Right. I see you could raise your hand too. It looks like.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, class, grammar sites. Okay. So our question is, you know that we're in the process here of making assignments. I talked to you last time, Jim, right?
Yes.
As far as your flexibility, and you can do whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have to work it out, but I'm fairly flexible.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll be making these assignments. We've got tentatively, we've got people for you. I got to check a little bit with one of these students. So this is the time to come in. Now you all live locally, right?
Yes.
Yes. So it shouldn't be a big deal. And you'll recall that I asked that you would try to get a hold of these folks this week, and that you want to try to meet them. So that you get a sense of what they want, what they need, and you can start to get in your mind, you know, what's necessary to, what kind of lessons you might want to plan, what kinds of things you want to do. And I know you're nervous about it. As I always say, you're nervous, they're scared to death, you know. You know, for many of them, coming to America is a real loss. I mean, it's positive in so many ways, but you know, they're no longer have the same control of their families as they used to because they don't speak English. Their kids know more than they do, and the kids are often the ones that are serving as interpreters. You know, they can't find their way through the systems that well. And most of them are professional people, well-educated people, had good jobs. They're here probably primarily for their children, you know. So life is difficult in many ways and very rich in others. So I have a few little ideas. Bring your phone with some pictures on it. Everybody relates to kids and pets and grandmas and grandpas and aunties and that kind of thing. And they'll probably have pictures on their phones as well. And almost everybody has a phone. You know, I think I told you people in Kenya have phones and they use it to communicate with the village. They find a bunch of animals that they're tracking and they call into the village and say, okay, so now the warriors, we found some, you know, something that we want to get for dinner. And that's how they communicate instead of sending the whole kit and caboodle out. So it's developed into many unique uses. So I'm sure without a doubt that, you know, all your students will be very savvy on a phone. If it's a basic student, you'll get the person who will translate for you. We'll get a hold of your student and you will meet with the two of them for the first time only. And then after that, it's just you and your student. So you can probably make a phone call without any trouble. You could do an email if we've got a good email. And for your more advanced students, you can probably do that maybe with your intermediate. Sometimes intermediate students like an email because it gives them a moment to think about what is being said and they can respond. But feel your way through it. And you know, if they don't get back to you, you don't wait for a week to hear from them. You try again the next day. You need to be fairly persistent. Things may have changed in their lives and you know, maybe they're not able and they don't quite know how to tell you or whatever. But make sure you make a contact in this coming week. That's very important. Any questions about that?
So you probably discussed this already and I missed it,
Okay.
but so where are we supposed to meet with them? Where do we set up?
Yeah, I mean, we've got places here. There's rooms here that you can meet with. You can Zoom them if Zooming works best for folks. I think we have identified the fact that they can Zoom. The libraries are probably all open now. Stratford has nice tutoring facilities upstairs. Milford has areas in it that you can use. There's churches. You do have a list of places anyhow in that first week of material. I don't encourage a restaurant or a place that's that public. For restaurants, we did that once, and well, first of all, there's a lot of distractions in a restaurant, or can be, but you can be taking up a seat that they would have business in otherwise. And of course, everything is a state of flux these days with restaurants and all that kind of.
I got to take a call. Excuse me, Alfred.
That's okay, Jim. So try to get a quiet place, kind of thing. Could even do it outdoors somewhere if that floats your boat. So just feel your way through it, and if you want to meet here, just let Tammy know to be sure that a room is available, because we're starting to get more people that tutor here. So that answers your question, Jim. Did anybody go to any of the classes that were online? To see the programs that we offer from Tutors in Action, or Larry, who was here in the afternoon. If you haven't, that's okay. But if you're looking for a little more, I don't know, security, a little more information, a little bit more of how to approach people, these can just be very, very helpful to you. I would encourage you to do it. We have somebody who's used to meet right outside of here, across the street. She lives in a condo, used to meet with her students under a tree. And I'm sure she wouldn't mind having, a few people join her for that too, if you're so interested. But anyway, I would encourage you. I had asked you to look at grammar sites.
Grammar sites.
Were you able to do that, Eileen?
I did. Yes, the one that I looked at that you gave me was Many Things.
Yes.
And it was the manythings.org. Okay. It did have a lot of information that was good. I found on there is VOA, Voice of America. And it has a special English word book. It has the parts of speech with definitions. It had English vocabulary quizzes and crossword puzzles. They did have a lot of areas in that section that had been taken down. I don't know why, but if you explore the site, it can bring up a lot of different things.
Many things, as it were.
Yes, and I also
Yes.
looked at the English Club. That was very good, the englishclub.com.
Yeah.
And it had a lot of information and teaching materials for grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. I think that will be very helpful.
Yeah, and that's the English Club.
Yes.
Eileen is just reporting on her sites, grammar sites. And she's just saying that she had many things in the English Club, that both of which she found to be very helpful, a lot of different kinds of information. Because you may not always be able to get in here for books. And so, you go on the internet, there's lots of good information there. I'm sorry, Jim.
All right.
Did you have a chance to look at sites?
Yeah, I looked at the let's put some notes here. I looked at that Engu. It was actually engu.com, not, I think we said org, but it's engu.com, and it's basically it's a study English online site. Apparently there's like teachers all over the world. Maybe you're familiar with this already. There's according to the site, there's up to 10,000 teachers from countries all over the world, and that students can sign up. They have different packages that you could sign up for. They're all 25-minute lessons, it's primarily English, but they actually did migrate into a couple of some other languages, Japanese, Chinese, and Korean, but primarily it's an English teaching. And the lessons are individualized. You sign up, you pay so much, whether you're on 1 to 3 lessons a day. Excuse me, I got a packages here. You can go like 8 classes a month, or 12 classes a month, or 20 classes a month, and depending on how much, the more classes you do and sign up for, the cheaper the classes become. So you can, if you want to start out slow and go.
Did they say how much they were?
Yeah, I think the 8 classes a month are $59. That comes to $738 a class. If you went to 12 classes a month, it goes down to $6 a class. And if you do 20 classes a month, it goes down to, they have a package where you sign up for 100, for the first month it's 62, then it goes to 107 a month on the 3rd month, and then it goes down, and at that price, you're paying $3.10 a class. That's for 20 classes a month.
Nice.
And the teachers are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're all certified, however this organization certifies them in as English speaking. It's the material from basic to advanced. And you can, there were some things that were somewhat unclear, but it sounds like if you connect with the teacher that, depending on when you're available, the teachers are available. If you like them, you can arrange to use that same teacher all the time or have different teachers.
So that's, go ahead.
And then, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, finish off here.
Yeah, and then they also have free materials online that actually we could, dig into. It's for the students, but it's available to anybody, even if you don't sign up for lessons. You can get into their material packages, and there's a lot of information, just all kinds of things that we could theoretically access for, all the things that we're talking about here that could help you to teach them. So it looked like it could be a handy resource, and it's engoo.com. Yeah.
And that might be something you could refer your students to. I mean, obviously you're only doing like 2 hours a week, and they may want a lot more than that. This would be great to use as supplemental lessons for them, that they can.
Another site that they can do some for, not necessarily for us, but for them, and you've probably all heard of it, is the Duolingo site. I'm assuming you've heard of that, Duolingo.
I have.
And that's also, that's many, many languages, but it is free, anywhere from the basic. You can go to it on your internet, duolingo.com, and sign up, and then they, start at the most basic in English, and there's lessons, and there's no charge, and but it's not an individualized lesson. It's all mechanical. You got to go through that process with the computer, but you can do it at your own pace.
Right.
Some people might feel more comfortable with that. You read that kind of stuff.
At least to start off. But yeah, these are things that can really supplement what you're doing. I mean, some of your students would have you come, spend 2 hours every day for the rest of your life, or their lives, because they really want to learn and they're motivated. But, you're not available, and that's okay. But you could refer them to these places, and, we'll give them some additional help. That's good. Thank you, James. Jim. Do you go like Jim or James?
Jim's fine.
Jim's fine. Yeah, you show up as Jim.
There was one more, actually, I found. It's called, Microsoft has a free picture dictionary. It's actually an app, though. Here's the thing. You can, while I was looking, it's called Picture Dictionary. It's come by Microsoft, but it's only for a mobile. So if you have an Android phone, which I don't, unfortunately, so I couldn't get into it. I could look at, get information about it, but I couldn't use it because I have an iPad, which I'm using here. But if you have an Android, whatever they call an iPad, a tablet, or an Android phone, you can download this app, and it's got like hundreds of pictures.
Oh, how nice.
The words and the pronunciations, how to say them properly. And so if you're working with a student and you want to, you don't have to have your own book of pictures. You can just go to that and just pull up. But I unfortunately for me, I can't get to it.
Because we've talked about the Oxford Picture Dictionary here that is online and something you can buy or you can borrow from here. Again, if you borrow stuff from our library, don't give it to your student. But some of the tutors have bought, one for the students and gives it to them. Or they may be able to purchase it themselves. But that is really a helpful item. I mean, and there's a picture and a word for anything at all that you can think of. I mean, there's just no situation or place or room or part of the world that isn't covered in them. They're very, very comprehensive. But how nice to know that there's something online. I knew that had to be, and I never thought to try to pursue it. But
Yeah.
so Picture Dictionary, it has to do with Microsoft, and that
Right,
you need an Android. I just happen to know I have an Android. I don't know a lot about phones or anything in technology, but I know that. So that's good. So Margaret, obviously what we did was.
Right, so I picked up a couple of copies of the Oxford Picture Dictionary.
Yeah.
Thinking that I would have one and I would give one to the student. I
Now
didn't,
you picked them up as in what?
I ordered them and they
Oh, you
arrived.
did? How nice.
And so I was only seeing a couple of websites, so I went on YouTube and found this site, Teaching Adults English and How to Make Your Student Comfortable. And a lot of it you already know, but I thought one thing that was interesting was that position. When you're talking to your student, you want to be at the same level. You don't want to be higher than them. They said that would make them uncomfortable. So you want to be careful about that. Be encouraging, take a laptop or smartphone with you. And with technology, you've got a translator. You can, find the word in their language.
Yes, and sometimes that's, or a lot of the students are very handy with their phones and have a translator and they'll look it up real quick. They probably do it faster and better than we can, or I can anyway.
Yeah.
And that's helpful to them and to you. I don't know if I had said that, in the past, we have tried to avoid assigning a Spanish-speaking student to a tutor who is Spanish-speaking, because our experience had been that it tended to break down into a class, spoken in Spanish with a little bit of English, because it was more comfortable. So we didn't, and then, we didn't do that for years. And then, we had one or two situations where, we did anyhow. And I mean, the tutor never let on to the student that they were bilingual, and ergo, it was just done in English. And occasionally, a word would have to be pulled out, and you could put it out to them. So yeah, you need to be aware of those things. And that's a good little piece about height. Also looking in people's eyes, that sometimes isn't copacetic. I don't know, there's a few other kinds of things. You're sitting with your foot on your knee, you can't have it pointed at somebody. I mean, all these kinds of things. And I always say, if we do something that is not acceptable in their culture, I mean, they know that we don't know. Likewise, they may say or do something, then we know that they don't know. So, you kind of forgive them and, you move on. But at some point you might want to say, in this country, we never say this or never do that. Touching somebody on the head, Asian people, some countries, that is not something that you should do. Of course, on Zoom, we're never going to do that, but in person you might. Any other questions about meeting your student and getting going? I think we have students for the three of you anyway. And I'll try to finish that off today to be sure that we can do something, or Tammy can finish it off. One of the things we didn't get to last week was the scenario with Beata. I don't know if you noticed it in your book. It was after the lesson. Yeah, it's after the lesson. Can you find it? Beginning comprehension and early speech production is on one side, and when you flip it over, you should have Beata and her husband in America.
What section am I looking for?
Well, week 2.
I'm in week 2.
Okay. I'm saying start at the back end There's a few pages in, it should be page 10 in there.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm on page 10.
Do you see Beata? 2 stories,
it.
okay. How about you, Eileen? How you doing?
No, I haven't found it yet.
Tutor training manual.
Wasn't week 2, chapters 5 and 7?
No, you're in the wrong book too. You
I'm
want the
in-
tutor training manual.
Okay, in the room, okay.
Sorry, I guess that wasn't clear.
All right, yes.
So do week 10, week 2, it's page 10.
Okay, I have it.
All right, okay. Yeah, sorry for the confusion. We didn't quite have time to do this last week, but we did talk about objectives, goals and objectives last week, and how goals were much more general and objectives were much more specific underneath those goals. So I put these little scenarios together, and this one's about Beata and her husband who've been in America for a couple of years, have 3 kids, oldest in 2nd grade, kindergarten, and the smallest attends preschool. Beata studied English in middle school in Poland, remembers many words and greetings. Her husband has fairly steady work as a carpenter, but she's not employed and stays home with the kids. The neighbors watch her youngest periodically. So you're her tutor. What might be some of her goals? What might she want to be able to accomplish?
Help her kids do their homework.
Okay, that would be specific, but a goal maybe to help her kids,
Help her kids to talk to the
yeah.
teachers and.
Yeah, to help her kids with their school, with their schoolwork. And then what kinds of things under that? Now you see she's got young kids, so they're learning, the alphabet, letters, numbers, names of animals and things. So this is really nice for you. It's a good way to assess her initially, see what she knows of the days of the week, the months of the year, letters of the alphabet, numbers. And if she's not very proficient, to spend some time with her because it will be good so she can help her children. Again, it keeps her in the role of an adult, as someone who knows stuff, and her kids at this point don't know more than she does, if only because they're so young. So there might be a number of things you'd want to include under specific objectives here to help her. What other kind of thing might she want some help with?
Vocabulary, to increase her vocabulary.
Okay, so her communication skills would be a general one. And so, yes, vocabulary is something that you would do with that. And something that you're going to do actually with any student that you have from the very beginning where they need a lot of help, and even an intermediate and an advanced student who's looking for more sophisticated language. So always we're trying to build vocabulary. So yes, helping her communicate better.
And learning, how about learning the parts of speech? That would be, would that be something that we would be teaching? Learning, a noun, a verb, and
Yes, it would go with
adjectives.
communication. That would be perhaps under that.
Okay.
No, with the vocabulary and grammar. Remember that you're going to try to keep, if they have a goal, you're going to want to try to focus on, Beata is teaching her kids. So in this case, you're going to try to focus on her helping her youngsters. And she might want help with transportation. She has to take a bus, so money is going to be important. She's got to bus schedules when they come, where the bus goes and stops, all this kind of thing. How to access that information may very well be on the computer. And again, a lot of students will have, of course, if they've got a good phone system, they've got access to all kinds of information. So bus information is something that they could probably readily access as well. Money, bank, post office. So there's a number of things there that might come under that. So as you become aware of what she wants and needs, defines her goals, then you're going to work with that. Because we say learner-centered lesson plans is what we're trying to do. There's a second one there about Solia. I'm just going to have you look at that for homework. And again, look at what her goals might be and what your objectives would be to help her with that. Okay, is that clear? Okay. And you'll remember your survival kit. Hope you're trying to get a few things together on that. Again, I would put a lot of emphasis on pictures because they can be used at any level. And just a good handy dandy thing to have. If you're running out of steam when you're doing a lesson, you can take those out. You know, there's also an ESL Skills Assessment list, and that might be the very last page in week 2. See if that's true. And that's in your tutor manual, not the book. Do you see that ESL Skills list? Literally a list. It could be at the end, try week 3. Some books that might be there. I know I moved it from 3 to 2 at one point. Last page in week 3 is another possible place. ESL Skills Assessment. And that's in our tutor manual, not the book. Last page. You got it. Okay. Week 3. Jim?
Page
Week 3?
14. Yeah.
Page 14. Everybody find it?
Yes.
Okay, good. An advanced student who wants conversation, this could be particularly good for you to use with them. They should be able to read this, go over it with you a little bit, and identify things that they need help with. So you can have a conversation about maybe telephone bills and electricity bills, if that's something that they don't quite understand, as well as, of course, other kinds of conversation. So that might give you some clues for an advanced student. Beginning student, this is not something that they will be able to comprehend. Although if that person comes with them who, will be the interpreter initially, you might have them just glance at this and see if they know that there's some things that are needed. And, you can incorporate that. And intermediate as well. Don't spend a lot of time on it. It might be something you want to introduce later on in your teaching. But again, it gives you focus, and that's what gets to be important. Okay, so then we're doing intermediate student at this time. So we did the beginning last time, and you're looking at people with very limited skills as a beginner. But here, you've got a student who understands routine conversation and can integrate some of new phrases with those that he's already familiar with, vocabulary that he's already familiar with. And he can respond to much more complex kinds of questions and vocabulary. You're going to be speaking in a much more normal tone, or before, the beginner, you might be going just a little bit more slowly, but here you can talk much more normally. You're still going to work on vocabulary, and you're still going to need to repeat things, restate them or say them in a totally different way. The student knows some basic grammar pretty well, can ask questions to better understand, where the beginner, not so much. And they can talk about a variety of topics. Maybe not in a while, but they'll be much more familiar than just the basic kinds of things. And of course, you're teaching more vocabulary and more complex grammar. Many good books we have here and online that you can do that with. And it's a time maybe to introduce dialogues. You can even do that with a beginning student. And we'll talk about dialogues today. For reading, they can understand simplified material on known topics, but they have limited ability with, especially if they have authentic material like cereal boxes or even newspapers. You know, where that's I don't know, it's different than conversational English. They would tend to have more trouble with that kind of thing. You can introduce some simple reading material to expand their comprehension and understanding of grammatical structures. There's lots of young adult literature out there in the library, even here. You know, you might borrow something, but they can understand much better, certainly, than the beginning student. Remember, just because somebody can read really well doesn't mean they understand anything. And so comprehension questions are absolutely essential, you know. They do well with language arts material. I know in fact, I actually used the lesson that we have here with my student, and she was fairly good, but boy, it was laborious. And then I did a lot of things that she didn't understand so well. I would find a lesson somewhere where, you know, would go over the past participle or something like that. And there would be a lot of sentences and she would have to, you know, put in the correct word. She liked that, and students at this level are generally pretty good with it. And as far as writing goes, that they can write paragraphs on familiar topics. Be sure this is a good time to do some teaching about writing. I know what a paragraph is. In fact, the lesson kind of goes into that. You know what it is? It's a group of similar thoughts about, you know, one topic. Indenting the first word. Perhaps a little something with punctuation as well. So you could talk about this, and again, this lesson, you know, helps them to do a paragraph of like thoughts. So you might want to use this to be helping them with it. So they're definitely a step up, and, you know, perhaps, I mean, you may have, I don't know, how are your Indian neighbors, Margaret? Are they speak a good English?
Oh, very good, yeah.
Yeah, they could be very well educated, but there may be.
They're engineers, and they speak very well.
So that's not an issue for them.
Yeah.
But again, we might have even friends that are from other countries, neighbors, people we work with who are still struggling with the language. You know, they understand a fair amount, but they're still grappling with the spoken part of it. And that's the hardest part of English anyway, is the speaking it. You know, you can hear it, read it, and write it, but
right. So my Japanese sister-in-law used to say, in a Japanese accent, we bought a real fixer-upper. It was hysterical.
Talking about her house.
Yeah, so she got that from her husband.
Yeah, a real fixer-upper, yeah. So this is a lesson on routines. And, you know, so it's talking about time order, signal words, expressions, simple, and going through simple present tense. And there's a couple of different scenarios in here talking about routines that are being followed on a job. So when they're writing about this kind of thing, they want to mention when you do something, how often, and in what kind of an order, you know, they do it in. And then they've got this firefighting is a routine job where we're all called to be firefighters, but there's very little firefighting. We really have to stay in shape, says Jack. And he follows a routine at home and at work. It helps me to stay in shape, he says. The routine we follow at work helps us keep equipment ready to fight fires. He starts his day, gets up at 5, he exercises, he takes a shower at 5:45. eats breakfast, and because he says he needs to stay in shape for his job. Listens to the weather report, and then he leaves, and he usually walks to work. So then they're asked to put the activities in order underneath that. You know, what is the exercise? What does he do first? Well, he gets up first. So number 1 in front of gets up. And then they have to just go through and identify the sequence in which these things occurred. And it talks about when you're writing about it, you need to use always, usually, often, sometimes, and never, because these tell how people, how often people do their work. So then they have a chance to practice on the back of that page, asking questions, and you can ask them and they can answer, and then they can ask the questions and you can answer. Then it goes into somebody else's routine. This is Brenda, who's a park ranger, and what she does. And then they're asked to complete the paragraph at the end, to fill in the blanks based on what her routine is. Are you all with me on this? You can all see that there, yes? It talks about organizing ideas, grouping ideas, arranging sentences, grouping them into paragraphs. So this really talks about writing. So it could be very helpful to you. There's a sample letter that somebody wrote home to their family in Italy. And you're asked, it is asked, you know, what's the paragraph about? And are there any sentences in the paragraph about another idea? Was it a good paragraph, basically? And then on the back of that page, then there's a review being written for Bartolini's restaurant. And on the back of that page, there's a number of statements, and they're asked to pick out 5 sentences and make a paragraph out of it. So you're helping to build their writing skills there. And then this wind down activity at the end, they're asked to fill in the blanks about television. You know, how often I spend about 3 hours a day watching television. I enjoy watching because I have nothing else to do, whatever, you know, so they fill in their own little words there, and then they have to put it into a paragraph. So a lot of good, creative, different kinds of things that your student will be asked to do when she or he does this particular lesson. And at the end for homework, you know, when I did it on my vacation, a job I would like mostly to have people come to the United States because, so they're given an assignment of writing something. So it's a very challenging lesson, even for an intermediate student. It literally took us 2 hours to get through it, but she did pretty well. Any questions about that? I mean, I kind of just glanced over it. If you were going to use it, you would want to spend more time and give it a little bit more thought than what I have shown you here, but it's one possible lesson. That's followed by intermediate aspects of language, speech emergence. This is when they're speaking much better. And a number of things, you know, if you've got that kind of a student, you might just want to look some of these things over for things to be sure to include as you're tutoring. Again, it just gives you ideas, really what this is all about. Something that your student may have trouble with is verbs that end in ed. They want to say walked, talked. And again, you can find lessons online that will help them with words that you say ed and words that you don't. I think one of the things that are in here. Comparatives and superlatives with adjectives, good, better, best. Some are regular, some are irregular. Prepositions, a little more time on that. Prepositions are the bane of every student's existence. And on the back of that page, you have suggested lessons for the level 2 student. Things that you can include. And again, it's there for ideas. Things that at this level will be meaningful to them. Survival topics, you know, transportation, reading the calendar, family relationships, shopping for clothing. That's something that may be, hey, Amatsu is kind of here. Yeah, so what was I saying about this? Give me an understanding, reading clothes. Shopping for clothes, our sizes in clothes and shoes is totally different than the rest of the world. And so we've had price tags. I know that there's lessons in books, that talk about shopping and the things and how to look at them, for children's sizes, women's sizes of Miss and Mrs. and petite and large, as well as men's. That could be something that they would be struggling with. Just to be aware that this is all here, something to look at. When you get your student, and if you find out they're an intermediate student, you want to spend a little time looking at this. Don't let it overwhelm you either, but to know that it's there and, maybe just to go to it from time to time. Likewise with your book. And so you had chapters 5 and 7 this week, did you not?
Yes.
Yes, that is a lot of reading. Did you find 7 tough going?
Yes.
Just because there's so much there, and you really can't even begin to absorb it. You need to know it's there because sometimes your lessons get stale and it's like, oh, there must be a better way to do this or another way to do this. And I find, I haven't done it recently, but I have found in the past, going there will give me some other ideas of ways to go. It's probably the most useful of all the chapters in the book and something you might want to go back to. And likewise, those appendices are very nice. They give you all kinds of information besides, and can be very helpful to you. Any questions about your reading, besides the fact that it was challenging? Any questions about anything that we've had up to this point? What time we got here? It is 10:30.
I would say I almost wish we had like a student teacher type of opportunity so that we could, instead of just being thrown in the deep end, that you had some time, or maybe if I thought of it earlier, I could have followed with somebody who'd done it before and just, spend some hours with them. I know there's opportunities online to do that.
And that's really nice. It's even if you watched Larry or came to Larry's class, it's on that on our website. I think it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 5 or 6, not sure. But he has students there, and you can watch him in action, which is kind of nice. And trying to think what else we have here. Yeah, we've had so many changes in our classes that with the COVID that we don't have all the stuff that we did before, which is kind of a shame. There's nothing like a real life lesson to observe, but I would certainly encourage you to get online with some of those classes and just listen and watch what's going on. It will certainly give you some sense of direction. Anybody else have any observations or questions?
One other thing, would it ever be appropriate to say, I mean, depending on obviously the level of your student, to actually go out in the field and like at the do your class at the supermarket for someone who needed to learn how to?
Oh yeah, we haven't, absolutely. If you're teaching your students about foods, you need to learn the names of a lot of foods. Yeah, I mean, you can do what do you call it? Field trip. Go to the local market. Now, keeping in mind that many of them probably are not shopping at Stop and Shop or ShopRite. They probably have found a nice ethnic market that they like, but you could even have them take you there, and talk about the foods that are there. Might end up talking about the recipes that they use or like. But yes, that kind of thing. Go to the post office with them. Go to the library with them. Getting a library card is something that many of our students do. And, it would be a good dialogue to practice with them ahead of time so they know the kind of questions to ask. And of course, the kind of questions to ask. And the only thing I can think of is that they want proof of residency. I think that they should bring a bill with them. I believe that they have to show their name and address, just to show they're maybe a Milford resident. but that's a step in the right direction. So yes, you can always do that kind of thing. And usually it's fun. Sometimes people go, I've gone to their homes. I used to tutor in people's homes a lot for whatever reasons, it's just worked. But we did a cooking lesson one time, how to make brownies. Our boys loved chocolate and found these brownies. So, you know, I bought a box of Betty Crocker's Best with the pictures of the, you know, everything that was needed. And, you know, using our mixes, you know, they have some of this stuff in other countries, but in a lot of places they make their own cakes. They, you know, do their own thing. But, you know, picture 2 eggs and a cup of water and oil, mix it up, put the refrigerator in the oven. So it was kind of fun to do that together. So don't hesitate if that works for you and them. And likewise, you know, talking about gifts that they may want to give you. Obviously, we don't take money, but food is one of the things that people often like to share with you, which is probably the reason I went to the homes, because I got fed a lot of good stuff. I don't mind telling you. Food talks to me. And so, yes, I've been the recipient of many a yummy thing in this world, from all over the world, I might add. So yeah, that's a good way for them to say thank you, you know. So they might bring something to a lesson. Of course, you can't do that on Zoom, but in any event, if you find a way. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Jim. Certainly something you can do. Any other questions about that kind of thing? Okay. We have, let's see, what have I got here next? Okay, I want to show you, speaking of a lesson. Tammy, can you run that lesson? This is, okay, she needs a couple of minutes. I've got a couple of films to show. One is probably a high beginner, lower intermediate class where the teacher is working with different articles of clothing. And, you know, she is showing the items and then having them come up and match pictures and words and all that kind of thing. A very large class, you know, some of these classes are not so clear cut in everybody's capabilities. Some are much higher, some are lower in their abilities to speak. So I think teaching a class is particularly challenging. But this is kind of a good example of what a class might be or could be. You know, under the and back, there was the suggested lessons for level 2. I think I went over that. Underneath that are some sample resources, and much of this, many of these books we have here in our library. So you should feel free to you know, take them out and borrow them if you like. We have the Easy English newsletter. There's copies of that outside, and that is very nice. Again, if you're meeting in person, that works much better than doing it online. But that is a resource that many of our tutors and students enjoy a lot. Let's see which other ones. Side by Side. That book is very nice. Waiting for Tammy to get this video up and going. Here it is. Yep, we can see that. It's big and beautiful. Not doing anything yet, though. That's okay. Just saying. Yeah, the quality on this, for whatever reason, is not great. We're not sure why, but this is kind of goes along with dialogue, and we'll be talking about this in a few minutes. So, okay, we've got the girl on here, but she's not moving. Okay, they're moving now.
Do you see anything here?
Yeah, this looks like the, okay, yeah. ESL technique. I'm sure we're getting verbal though.
Because it's like the intro, it takes forever.
Yeah.
That's right. And That's right. It's a dress with a jacket. And I like it very much. But that's right, it's too small for me. So what do I do?
You can go back to the store, change.
Oh, go back to the store and change. Yeah, I can return it. That's right. And what will I do if I return it? I take it.
You take it to the salesman, say that it's too small for me.
That's right. That's right. I'll take it back to a salesman and say it's too small for me. That's right. Have you ever had a problem like this, any of you?
Yeah.
Sometimes. Sometimes. What happened, Martin?
When I buy a jacket, it's too small for me, and I have to turn back to get a new one more big.
Obviously, you were just setting up the class for what you were going to be teaching them. What's key to this, to what you just did?
Okay, I was trying to personalize the situation by bringing my own husband's clothing in to bring in the problem, because what I was trying to do is to set up a role play with the students. And by then starting with my own experience, then I was hoping that the students would share their experiences, which they then did, their own problems that they had had in the same kind of situation. And then we would move into the role play from there. I was also trying to assess their language, because as they were telling me the problems they were having with exchanging clothing and so forth, I could hear what language they were using. So I was assessing the language at the same time as I was setting up the role play with my own problem. Can you help me with a conversation that we could say?
Can I try this new dress?
Right. All right. First of all, let's go to the store. And who talks to you when you go to the store?
May I?
That's right. So who says, may I help you? Do I say? The clerk. That's right. All right. So we have a clerk. All right. And the clerk says, may I help you? All right. Good. And then who am I? If I come back with a dress, am I the clerk? I am the customer. That's right. And what do I say? That's right. If the clerk says, may I help you? You can say, yes, please. We're being very polite, right? Yeah, that's right. All right. And then what would you say? Uh-huh. I want to change this dress. Okay.
Jean points out that she never gives the students a set dialogue.
For me, okay. When they go out onto the street, the set dialogue never works. Right. The people never answer the dialogue you learned in class. The other problem I found with set dialogues is that if the students read a dialogue in a classroom textbook and they learn a set dialogue that you have, they usually can't manage that dialogue. They can't manage all the language, so they lose their confidence. And then when they go out, they think, I can't ever say that, so they almost give up immediately. This way, when you start with their language and you create on the board, you create the dialogue together, you are using their language so they feel more comfortable. They feel, I can say that, and they have more confidence. May I help you? Yes, please. I want to exchange this dress for me. It's too small for me. Sure. Do you have a receipt? Yes. Here it is. What is your size? Size 14. Now, sometimes, what do? Sometimes you, sometimes you say, may I try it on? Exactly. And so they say, may I try it on?
After the basic dialogue has been established, Jean leads the class in an expansion of what they've written on the board.
Exchange. That's right. You could say, may I exchange this, please? That's right. May I exchange this dress? That would be great. That's beautiful. All right. Anything else?
I have a question.
Yes.
If I need the money back, how do I say?
Then that's when you ask for return.
Just say return.
Return. And then they say, do you want your money back? And you say, yes, please. I was trying to get some different functions, different levels of expression. May I help you? Can I help you? I'd like to exchange. Also, I wanted to increase some of their vocabulary and the variations of the different problems they had. The one girl had the problem with refund. She wanted to know how to say, when I return, can I get a refund? The different language they needed, I wanted to bring that in at that point.
Using pictures to represent articles of clothing that need to be exchanged, Jean guides the students in a practice dialogue, focusing on its three important functions: stating a problem, making a request, and reaching a solution.
We have a problem with this shirt, and let's take it back to the store. All right, and the clerk says, may I help you? All right, and all of you would say, yes, please. I'd like to exchange this shirt. Why? What is the problem? Because it is missing. That's right. Sure. Do you have a receipt?
Yes.
Okay. Good. All right. Do you want the same style?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Very good. Come right over here, and I will give you the same style.
Thank you.
All right. You're very polite. Very polite.
Jean takes the part of the clerk in the first step of the role play.
Oh, do you like those?
No, the dress looking is not good because the style doesn't good on her.
It doesn't look good on her.
Her feeling not so comfortable.
It doesn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
How about her dress? Does it look good on her?
Yeah. The color is.
Oh, she thinks. Oh, the color doesn't look good on her.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to try another color?
I think so. I don't have time. I come back take a children. So I'm sorry. See you
Okay.
next time.
Okay, so you, all right. We'll come back later. Maybe we'll have some new colors next time. Okay. Maybe some new style.
Okay.
All right. You come back next time?
Okay.
Maybe next week we'll have some more new styles in.
Oh, okay. You just call telephone for me.
Oh, call on the telephone. Oh, sure. Yes. She's a good customer, so I call her on the telephone, right? Goodbye, ladies. Okay. All right.
In this scene, Jean varies her portrayal of the clerk to give the students practice with a situation that may be less polite.
I'd like to change this time. Excuse me.
Yeah?
I'd like to change this tie. Because
What's the matter with it?
this is a spot.
Oh, spot. Did you put it on there?
No.
Did you buy it like that?
No, my wife died.
Oh, your wife. Oh, your wife bought it. Oh, do you have the receipt?
Yes, receipt.
Okay, what kind of clerk am I? Well, I'm too strong. I'm rude. I'm not polite.
After modeling a rude clerk, Jean models a successful exchange.
Do you want to exchange it or do you want to return it?
I want to change it.
Exchange it? You
Yeah.
want the same style?
Yeah, I want the same
Oh,
size.
they're right over here. Same size?
The same size.
Everything the same. I'm trying to go from the teacher-controlled activity where I was controlling the whole dialogue, and then I want them eventually to move to their own role plays where they are expanding on and varying their own language. But this is one step in that control. I'm going from very controlled to less controlled. Oh, medium.
Yeah, medium.
Oh, medium. Okay. All right. All right. Here's a medium.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Is everything okay?
Everything
All right. Well, have a nice day.
You too.
All right. Come back sometime.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to buy?
No, I don't have money.
No money. Okay. I don't have any money. Okay. Great. Very good. That's good, Martin. Great. All right.
When the students seem to be comfortable with the role play situation, Jean divides them into groups of 3. One student plays the customer using reduced copies of the pictures of clothing. Another plays the clerk, and the third acts as an observer.
Who's the clerk? You're the clerk. All right. Who's the customer?
Okay.
You're the customer, and you're going to listen. Okay. All right.
Okay. Hi, may I help you? Yes. Please change. It's large. You want to exchange the large size? Yeah. No. Change small. Small. Yeah. Okay. No problem. Before you buy this. Yeah. Do you have a receipt? Yeah. Sure. Oh.
Good.
No problem.
Good.
You can choose other. If you want to change the other, change the same size or return a small size. Small size. Yeah. Okay. You can look in the all choice any size. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
All right. Did she make the request? Did she say the problem?
Yeah.
Did they have a solution? Did they find an answer to the problem?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So that's good. Good. Okay. This time he's going to be the clerk, right?
The role of the observer is an important one.
I want one person to be listening for the different functions that you need when you have any exchange of information like this. Did they state the problem? And did they make a request? And then did they find a solution to that problem? You see, you're not emphasizing actual language, you're emphasizing those functions, and then they can vary the way they say those in any communication, in any kind of store situation. So that's what you're aiming for with the role play.
Do you want to exchange it or written? I like to change, please.
Yeah, that was your request. That's right. Very nice.
As you're going around, what do you do about grammatical errors?
I'm trying to emphasize fluency, not accuracy in the role play, because if they're worried about their grammar and saying each sentence and word correctly, they will never be able to communicate at this level. What you really want to do is get them communicating with people out there. Later, you can go back and set up drills and work on grammar if you want to. But in the role play, that is not the main focus. It's fluency.
Hi.
Hi.
What's the problem? May I help you?
Yes, please. I'd like to change this. This dress is too big for me.
Yes.
In the final activity, Jean asks for volunteers to role-play the situation in front of the class. She has moved away from the students to allow them to act out the scene completely on their own.
I can change if you want. I want to return or exchange.
I want to exchange.
You want to change?
Yes.
The same style?
Yes, then. Same style, but my size is 6.
6?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll find you. May I see your receipt, please?
Yes, here, please.
All right. Okay, here your dress.
May I try on?
Yeah, you can try the dressing room is over there.
Okay. It is good for me.
Yes.
I like it, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here is your dress. Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Role play is important because it gives, to me, the most important thing is it gives the students a chance to practice in what is a safe environment before they go out in the world where they're really, really concerned and worried about what they say. They can practice in a safe environment with their teacher, with their classmates, where they feel much more comfortable. It gives them also a chance to try different ways of expressing language. And it also is lots of fun. Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. I have the problem.
Oh, what's wrong?
Yes. This dress for me too long, too big.
Oh,
but I don't like this.
sure.
May I change the other size?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And what's your size?
Yes, I'm size 7 size, please.
And do you have a receipt?
Yes, I have the receipt.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
please.
Just a moment, I'll be calm, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
You can try it.
I want to try on.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Okay.
And,
Do you have a mirror? here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, this says for me, just make. I like it.
Okay, I'm happy.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Oh, no, thank you very much.
I hope to come back here.
Okay, no problem. I can come back here.
Okay.
Are there any size for me?
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
What'd you think? Is that helpful at all to you, Jim? Give you some ideas?
That was excellent. I don't know if I could do it in front of a whole group of students. Like,
I don't either, for that matter. Any thoughts from anybody else?
I thought it was great. If you've got a large group. But
Yeah.
I too would hope I didn't have that.
You hope what?
I too would hope that I didn't have such a large group.
Yes, well, you won't, I promise. But it's a whole different scene. I mean, you know, obviously the one-on-one versus a classroom is very different. Not that you can't do some of this stuff, but nevertheless. Anything for you, Eileen? Caught your eye or ear?
Oh, no, that was very interesting. I enjoyed watching that. Yes.
Yeah. I think the point that she makes about fluency, not grammar, is really important. Because if you just hunker down on grammar with a situation like this, you know, they're going to be too focused on that rather than the speech. And, you know, so they make some mistakes. I mean, there were many mistakes in the grammar, but they made themselves understood, and that's half the battle. Again, people, I think, are happy that someone tries to speak English, and, you know, we'll help them along the way if there's any questions about what they're doing. So these are more advanced students, obviously, and they can do this kind of thing. With a more basic student, you know, you may literally end up writing the dialogue, and perhaps you can elicit some other variations on it. You have an outline here of steps in a dialogue. This is perhaps, again, with a lower level student, but that you would read the whole dialogue through, which will be anything from 4 lines to maybe 6 or 7. Then you read a sentence and your student says it after you. And you read it again completely. Then you say it together with your student, and then you take turns, you know, with it. So a little dialogue I have, what's this? It's an orange. Do you like oranges? Yes, oranges are good. What's this? You're gonna say, what's this? Yeah, the same thing. Say it, what's this? Students,
What's
hello. I want you to say, what's this?
what's this?
Okay, what's this? It's an orange. It's an orange.
It's an orange.
Good. Do you like oranges?
Do you like oranges?
Yes, oranges are good.
Yes, oranges are good.
Okay, so now we're gonna say that all together. Okay, do all 4 of us here, okay? What's this?
What's this?
What's this?
It's an orange.
It's an orange.
Just gonna say it with me. Do you like
Like
oranges?
oranges.
Oranges.
Yes,
Yes.
oranges are good. And then to do it as a dialogue. What's this?
What's
It's an
this?
orange.
Now you're gonna answer. What's this?
It's
It's,
an orange.
An orange.
do you like oranges?
Oranges
Yes,
are good.
Okay, now you're gonna start it with the question. You ask me, what's this?
What's this?
But it's an orange.
Do you like oranges?
Yes, oranges are good. Thank you. But that just gives you some idea of an approach to a dialogue that might be at perhaps a little bit lower level. I don't know if I told you about my student from Afghanistan who was a real beginner, but I had written a dialogue for her to call me at work so that I could give her a ride to the literacy center for a class at 12:30. I could just about fit it in on my lunch hour, but she had to call. Of course, I knew she was calling. She had to call me, ask for me. Oh, you know, Her name is gone. Ranjana. Hi, Ranjana. What do you want? I need a ride to the literacy center. What time will I pick you up? And she'd have to give an answer to that. Okay, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. And I mean, this was a real struggle for her to do. So, I mean, I'd kind of written the dialogue and we'd gone over it and over it and over it and over it. And so finally she could call and, and use that with some variations to it. Because sometimes I wouldn't be good. How are you? Oh, I'm all right. We're busy here. How are you? I'm tired today, she'd say. How can I help you? What do you want? I need a ride to the literacy center today. Okay, what time? So we kind of ad-libbed it a bit as we went along with it, but again, at a very basic dialogue with a very basic student. So I'd like you to try to write a little dialogue. You see, we have steps in a dialogue here on this page. Do you see that? And then there's dialogue assignments to write a little something and pick any topic you want or anything else that you might want to do a dialogue on. Remember, if you're doing these with your student, you don't want them to be reading it. You're kind of trying to teach it and get it back from them on a listening response level. So even if you all pick the same one, it wouldn't be bad because I'm sure they all would be a little bit different. So, you can do a sales clerk in a store, the library, the bank, families riding in the car and they get lost. So just a 5 to 7 line dialogue. Don't make it too complicated. Keep it as simple as possible. And just, have that ready to do for next week. Think of something, maybe your student talking to the teacher, questions that they might want to ask, things that the teacher might ask them about. There's any number of things you could do with that. You know what, it's 11 o'clock. I think I'll end it at that. So you want to, any questions about anything? You're going to want to read chapters 6, 9, and 10. And I gotta find these. We did A, B, C, D in the appendices last time. And let's do E through I in the appendices this time. That includes citizenship information. We fairly routinely get students that want help with citizenship. So that might be very interesting to you. Some guidelines for selecting ESL textbooks. There's a colored paper exercise. I remember paper lanu kula, paper lanu uli. Remember? No, okay.
Yes.
Maybe yes. Anyway, manuscript in cursive language. I don't think they teach cursive anywhere.
Oh,
We may have touched on that.
my daughter's an English teacher. They don't do it.
Yeah, okay, you confirmed my suspicions. Because I noticed I have a couple of international children that, you write letters to and nobody ever, no matter how old they get, nobody's ever doing a cursive writing, for me, or to me. So I presumed that was the case. And that's a shame. I don't know how you do a signature if that's the case. If nobody knows how to do cursive, I guess you just print your name. Who knows? Bigger problems than that are going to be solved, no doubt. So go through those up to I or through I. Any questions about things? You're going to try to stop in this week. Let me just see what I got so far. I know I have. Yeah, I had asked you last week, Jim, about whether you could do evenings, and I see this fellow Carlos, who we know is interested in getting help, is available in the evening. So we've got a good tentative match for you. And Margaret and I believe I got someone here for you too, Margaret. Available days. And and I've just got to check on yours, Eileen.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether they're only available on evenings, on weekends. That's the case, that may not work. 8:20, 5:40 to 9. Yeah, I've got to see what's what with this person. Looks like there's a couple of possibilities. So anyway, don't come today, but maybe tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have something lined up for the three of you. Okay. Good. Anything else? Any other questions? Anything? Okay. Well, good. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Yep. Pleasure's all mine. Okay. Come by during the week. We'll get you lined up.
Thank
You're
you.
gonna get a hold of your student ASAP. Good.